Okay, just before we crack into today's video, let me explain how you can help us. More and more Kiwis are waking up to the fact that New Zealand is in big trouble right now. So how can we turn this country around? The answer is through education. What does that mean? Well, it means exposing more and more people to our videos. It's as simple as that. Just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll be subscribed. What happens then? Well, when you subscribe, YouTube sends our videos out to more Kiwis. That's how it works. Subscribing is free. You'll never be charged anything. It's just that simple. So please do it and then enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Just by subscribing, you can play a big part in the solution to fixing New Zealand. Well done, you. Well, hi, you beautiful New Zealanders, not Aotearoa rights. In this video, I'm going to do a commentary on retired District Court Judge David Harvey's oral submission. There's been lots of submissions, but this is one that I felt that I should say something about, so here goes. So what's in the box? In this video, as I said, I'm simply going to commentate on David Harvey's excellent submission and make some comments about it, which I hope you'll find helpful. So watch.
Submission from Judge David Harvey, who's joining us online. David, thank you for joining us. We have you for 10 minutes this morning before the committee, so I'll hand over to you to begin your presentation.
Thank you. My name is David John Harvey. I'm a retired District Court Judge. I currently hold a practicing certificate as a barrister, and I have a Bachelor of Law degree, a Master of Jurisprudence degree, and a Doctor of Philosophy degree. I support the bill, and I believe it should proceed. It's a matter of such importance that I think it should be properly placed before the electorate by way of a referendum.
So David starts off by saying he supports the bill and he wants a referendum. Well, I say, well, that's a stunning start. Well done, David. That's awesome. But we just don't want a referendum. We demand one. Why? Well, in the context of increasing voter apathy and disenchantment with our current political parties, and there's a lot of people like this, direct democracy, that is a referendum, can help to re-engage voters with politics and issues that affect them. Why is that? Well, with no referendum, they feel powerless, unable to express themselves and their frustrations. MPs, they say, don't listen or don't care. When you write to them, you receive stock answers. When you see them face to face, they often, you feel fobbed off. A referendum changes all of this. Citizens get to express their opinion, and that's powerful. What they say and think, suddenly it counts. And that's really massive, see? So let the power of the people be expressed. That's what it's about. That's what referendums are about. Another reason a referendum on the treaty is crucial? Well, it's obvious that the country is divided about Seymour's bill, but we don't know how many are for it and how many against it. You see, that's the truth. Politicians have a mandate to do the will of the majority. That's crucial. Well, it's impossible to tell how many are for and how many are against without a referendum. A referendum is like a compass to a sailor. It tells politicians what is true north. That is to say, it tells politicians what the majority are thinking and wanting. Once this is known, they can carry out the wishes of the majority. So really, it's politicians who we are putting on notice. Do they really want to know the will of the people or not? Then have a referendum. You see, Luxon is being put to the test here because if he doesn't want to know the will of the people, he won't have a referendum. And then he shouldn't be in Parliament. He should be exited. He should be gone. Because that's why we voted him in. And if he's not fulfilling his job description, then bye-bye, Chris Luxon. That's how it should be. Politicians are mandated to do the will of the people. That's why we voted them in. Yeah. Another reason a referendum on the treaty is crucial, well, in the past 50 years, the country has declined significantly, and it's all because of Maori activists and the treaty. That's the truth of the matter. Our children are being brainwashed. Industry after industry is being subjected to massive and relentless propaganda campaigns, Maorification, real estate agents, medical centres, the medical profession, the legal profession, lawyers, university students. Honestly, it's out of control. Billions of dollars in cash and assets are being handed over to Maori, often behind closed doors with no transparencies, through the back door of settlements. The media is corrupt and complicit with all this. Many structures like councils are being hijacked by Maori extremists. The country is in debt like it's never been before. You know what? There's a vibe in our country at the moment, and it's really toxic. People are talking in whispers. They feel afraid to offer an opinion out loud. That's how it's become. A referendum has the power to put the brakes on the gravy propaganda train. With a referendum, the people can stop the train, stop the bus, and demand an audit on everything that is going on. They can reset the hard drive. They can demand that Parliament carries out the will of the people. That is what is it about. That's what it's about. So this is a real big test for politicians, especially Luxon. Yeah?
I should say that although I'm a lawyer, I neither endorse nor support the submissions of the New Zealand Law Society and the New Zealand Bar Association. Turning to my submission, I focus upon Clause 6 of the bill, although it's critical to note that the bill does not in fact rewrite or amend the treaty itself. That is made clear in Clause 9. The committee, of course, will be aware of the principles that are contained in Clause 6. Principle 1 confirms the governmental structure of New Zealand in terms of what could be called a liberal democracy.
David then says he supports David Seymour's first principle, which is that the New Zealand government has the right to govern all New Zealanders. Well, that's great. Fantastic. So far, so good. David Harvey wants a referendum, and he agrees with David Seymour's first principle. We say to that, yes. Fantastic. Awesome. Keep it going.
Principle 2 secures property rights and by implication incorporates the concept of RANGATIRATANGA, because that was a right that Maori enjoyed when the treaty was signed.
So as soon as Judge David mentions the word RANGATIRATANGA, then things get really interesting. What's he talking about? Well, we actually don't know because he does not elaborate. That's the problem. We can only speculate. So the following are just the facts about RANGATIRATANGA and what happened in the treaty. So let's go over this just for clarity. Here again, Article 2 of the treaty, Article 2, Sentence 1 of the treaty says this, that the Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and the tribes and to all the people of New Zealand the possession of their lands, dwellings and all their property. Now that's the key word, is possession. That word is actually Tino RANGATIRATANGA in Maori. The English word possession was translated by missionary Henry Williams on the night of the 4th of February 1840 as Tino RANGATIRATANGA. So why did Henry Williams choose this phrase, Tino RANGATIRATANGA, to convey the idea of possession? Well, the answer is pretty simple. A rangatira is a chief. Generally speaking, it was the chief of the tribe who possessed or owned the tribe's land, dwellings and property. So what was missionary Henry Williams saying to the chiefs who signed the treaty? He was saying two things. First, we the British will guarantee to you that you will be able to continue to be the chiefs over the land, dwellings and properties that you possess or own at the time of the signing of the treaty. You don't have to give up your culture. Secondly, we the British guarantee to you that your land, dwellings and property will be secure. No one is going to take them steal them from you, not another tribe, not the French, not the Spanish. Nobody is going to be, we'll protect them. We guarantee to protect your ownership of them. That is what the treaty it was saying to Maori chiefs in 1840. So now here is a crucial point. Those two guarantees applied to all British citizens at the time. In Article 3, Maori became British citizens, so all the British were doing in Article 2 was giving Maori the same property rights, security as all the other British citizens already had. That is all. That is to say, the British did not and were not giving Maori any special property rights not afforded other British citizens. Think it through. If they'd done that, they would have been setting up an apartheid state. The British would never have done that, and they did not do that. So let's get that clear. Now here is a crucial consideration, and I want you to really tune in. If the British were going to protect the Maori ownership or possession of their land, the British, needed to define the boundaries of that land which each chief owned. True? Come on, think that through. Well, the British could not protect what was undefined. So top of mind for the British was surveying the land that each chief claimed they owned. The best way to explain this is like this. Imagine a map of New Zealand. In the middle of the North Island, draw a red square 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre square like that. Let's say this square represents the land owned by a particular chief in 1840. Okay, the British considered that everything on that piece of land, including the land itself, dwellings, chattels, rivers, mountains, forests, everything was literally owned, generally speaking, by the chief. The British promised to protect that chief's ownership of everything inside that 1 centimetre square. That is all Article 2, Sentence 1 promised. Today we'd call it house and chattels. All the British were saying is that you can still be chiefs over the land you own at the point of the signing of the treaty. That was all. Historian Dr. Matthew Wright confirms that Maori were only guaranteed British protection for what was inside their 1 centimetre squares. Quote, those, the areas surveyed by the British as being owned by the chief, were explicitly only the areas on which Maori actually lived and which they used. In other words, everything inside their 1 centimetre square. And there's the reference. So, roughly 540 chiefs signed the treaty, so in effect we could say there were 540 1 centimetre squares all over New Zealand, each square representing the land owned by each chief. Don't get me wrong. As I have said, it was not just chiefs who owned land. On occasions there were other iwi or hapu or families inside their chief's 1 centimetre square who owned land, dwellings and property. But overwhelmingly it was the chief who owned the tribe's stuff. You get what I mean? Okay. Now here is the crucial point I want you to get. In the decades following 1840, records show that Maori went on to sell 92% of their land. Yep, that's just a fact. For example, in my previous video, I showed how 100% of the South Island was sold by Maori before 1864. The North Island is the same. Treaty researcher and treaty commentator Mike Butler has done an excellent job on this, putting together all the facts about how much land Maori actually sold. So I'll put his findings in the description of the video so you can read how he comes to this figure of 92% of Maori land was sold. It's also the truth too that 33% of New Zealand was sold by Maori to settlers before the treaty was even signed. These sales are recorded in what's known as the H.H. Turton records, and there is H.H. Turton on the right hand side. That's a picture of him. I will put these records in the description of this video as well so that you can go through them yourself. I'll also put another paper explaining Tino Rangatiratanga in more detail. So the description of this video holds some crucial documents that I want you to read. What I'm about to say is also crucial for us to grasp. There's a lot of crucial things here. When land is sold, sovereignty is transferred from one owner to the next. Is that not true? Come on. When person A sells his house to person B and person B moves into the house, person B becomes the sovereign over the house and the land on which that house sits. Is that not true? To use Maori concepts, person A used to be the chief of that house and land, but when the house and land was sold to person B becomes the new chief of that land. That's how it is in New Zealand right now when you buy and sell property. So let's think this through. Maori used to own all the land in New Zealand. Granted, no problem with that. They went on to sell 92% in the decades following 1840. That's the truth. Therefore, they lost their sovereignty over that 92%. Didn't they? The truth is, they ceded sovereignty twice. First, through the sale of their land. Second, by signing the treaty Article 1, where they ceded sovereignty forever and entirely to the British. So their claim for self-determination, sovereignty, control over New Zealand's resources today, 2025, etc., are completely without foundation. The idea is a scam. It's parallel universe stuff. So I'm hoping this is what Judge David Harvey meant when he said, quote, because that was a right Maori enjoyed when the treaty was signed. Oh my goodness, we don't know what he's really thinking. So what is definitely not the truth, what the treaty did not give Maori at the time the treaty was signed, was perpetual property rights over all New Zealand forever. The treaty did not give them that. That is absolutely certain. Yet this is what Maori activists are saying today. They are saying that even if they sold their land in the 1800s, it's still theirs today. Yeah? This is, as I have said, complete nonsense. Don't believe it for a second. Okay, that's the end of part 1 of the commentary on Judge David Harvey's treaty bill oral submission. Thanks for watching. In the next little while, I'll make part 2, so be sure to watch that. You guys are awesome. Okay guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now we need your help with something. This is important. We have produced some great flyers and brochures which we want to get into the hands of all New Zealanders. So we need to go around the mainstream media. They're not going to help. In fact, they're making things a lot worse. So we have to go around them. And we need your help to make this happen. We can't do this without you. So what are we talking about? First, there is our business cards. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Then there is our latest booklet called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. It's 80 pages and packs a huge punch. So they're cheap. They're $3 and they're absolutely fantastic if you want to get a handle on what's actually happening in New Zealand. Then we have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023. Remember these? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Well, these are now free because we realised that only about a third of New Zealand houses got this booklet last when I did my tour, and so we want to get to the other 2/3. So if you do a few streets around where you live, that would be absolutely phenomenal, and they are free now. Then we have our MACA, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochure 2, which alert people to the loss of our beaches. You know, we're in danger of losing all the beaches around New Zealand. The text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free. And then we have our beautiful bumper sticker, which we've just made. And why are we doing this? Well, New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know that. First activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We don't want that. We must oppose this. This is rubbish. Where's the referendum saying that we want to change the name of the country? There was none. It was just forced on us. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more all over the place, and they're just treason. So we've got to get these bumper stickers out. So we've printed some awesome bumper stickers. They're $3 each, and they measure 21.5 by 6.5, so you can see how big that would be on your car. To get any of these free products, all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. For the products that cost something, like the bumper stickers, or the little psychology booklet, it's the cost plus the courier to get them to you. So to order any of these products, just use this email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi, and we'd love to hear from you. Finally, if you want to access all the videos we've ever made, including all our most viewed and most popular videos, and have them all in one place, which is what people are asking for, then just type in this address into your browser. There it is there, https www.youtube.com/@stopcogovernance, and you'll find it goes straight to our channel. Then what you do is save this address to your computer as a favorite. Job done. Well done. Then you've got them all in one place forever, and all the new ones that are coming in get placed into that address, so you won't miss anything. Okay, last thing, please, oh please, don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the latest videos straight into your inbox. You'll never miss a video, which is great. You'll link up with like-minded people all over New Zealand, and that's very, very stimulating to have meet up with all these people who think like you. You'll be telling YouTube, I like these videos, and they will respond by advertising our videos to more Kiwis for free. It's incredible what they do, but it just relies on you replying to comments and making comments and liking things and sharing things and activity. That's what it is. It's just activity on our channel. And turning New Zealand around is simply a matter of reaching more Kiwis with the truth. So just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of your screen. There, the little yellow arrow is showing you where it is, and you'll be subscribed. Okay. See you next time. You guys are awesome.